Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jumper. Today I'll be reviewing Doki Doki Literature Club as well as Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, uh, which is a sort of enhanced version of the original game, which was released back in 2017 for the original, I think back on Steam, and then for 2021 for the Plus version on a lot of modern day consoles. And before I get into this video, I'm gonna say this now to get it out of the way. Um, this game does tackle a lot of uh, heavy topics and it shows a lot of graphic content. And I'm going to try and um, in this review I will be talking about those heavy topics, but I'm going to be trying to be light as possible, um, because this game is a sort of psychological horror based game, and I want to try and be as light as possible and try and I will be talking about these topics, but they will be talked about. So if anyone's going through a hard time, try and no, not try. I would suggest talking to someone about it if you are going through a hard time, and yeah, because life is worth living for, and there's always someone who's who's like who that if there's someone who you trust to open up with. I highly suggest, if you're going through a hard time, you go and talk to someone that you want to talk about if you're feeling low or down. And if you don't want to watch this video, that's 100% fine. I'll see you in the next one. So yeah. So the main plot of this game of Doki Doki Literature Club is that the main character, that being you, is invited to this school club by your childhood friend, and you find out that it's this literature club, and every day you read poems to each other, and some weird shenanigans in terms of well, not weird shenanigans. I would say some creepy stuff happens throughout the course of the game, and yeah, and in terms of the game as a whole, I would say it's an interesting game of how it does both the psychological horror stuff and the main poetry stuff, because when it comes to the main poetry stuff, you are doing this mini game of sorts where you are given a bunch of words, and if you choose a bunch of words, um, and then one of the characters in the game will like it, when it comes into a poem of sorts, and you get to see a lot of all the other characters' poems. And for the psychological horror, it is very much whiplash, in my opinion. Obviously, when it comes to a lot of the psychological horror stuff, it's very much just you see it, and you'll be taken aback almost, what the hell just happened and what the hell did I just witness, that sort of thing. And I think those two things really make are really interesting. And I think what made this game, I think the smash hit that it was when it was released back in 2017, because it's just you got all these different elements happening with each other, and on the surface it just looks like this cutesy type anime looking visual novel type game, because this game is a visual novel in the sense that you just see a bunch of static images that don't really move apart from the different poses that they do, and you'll be in various locations. So the main location is the literature club room that you're in, but then another time you'll be outside walking to school. You'll be in your house another time. You might be at your friend's house, that sort of thing, and it's just and those are some of the basically the main locations you'll be at, and you get to interact with all these different characters, because you've got Monica, you've got Sayuri, you've got Yuri, and you've got Natsuki. I think that's the name of one of the other characters, and I think it's Natsuki, yeah, and they all have their own different personalities. So Yuri is a sort of shy character, Natsuki is the sort of, in the terms of anime, she's the tsundere, so that means she's got her mood changes often. So it's like, oh, I made these cupcakes. Oh, it's not like I made them for you or anything. It's that sort of thing. That's the best I can talk about when it comes to tsunderes. Um, Sayuri is your childhood best friend, and Monica is the leader of the club, and she's the more well known in terms of in the school, and she's like basically the popular kid in the school, and they all come together every day to basically talk about literature and stuff, and yeah, and this game is like really interesting and does a really lot of interesting things when it comes to talking about when it comes to like the progression, because at the start it begins off like, oh, let's just do literature and let's do poetry, but then as the game continues you start to sort of see some of the more darker elements. For instance, with Sayuri, with her one, with like her, because like I think there's like different routes you can do, and with Sayuri, you find out that she has depression, and because and it's like she doesn't really tell you in terms of like in the context of the game, she doesn't tell you until you ask her about it, because she doesn't really want to have the main character have the same pain as she does in terms of like, oh, she has depression and um, she doesn't want to bother. From my perspective, doesn't want to bother anybody with it, because she just wants to see people happy and smile and stuff like that. And when it comes to her final moments, it's like, what could I have done to have done it differently? Like, what could I have done to try and be more be more there for her? So yes, kind of, and again, the psychological horror is like, what the hell did I just watch? What the hell just happened now? And what could I have done differently in the game and stuff like that? And the game, after you've done that particular part, it sort of glitches out in the sense that uh, some you'd be like parts of the text will sort of be missing or just be in jumbled around. The screen itself will just go all glitch out, or like it'll just be static and stuff like that. So again, it's like, what's going on? And that's what you kind of see throughout the process of the game. And then you've got another character like Yuri, who says like she likes knives, and then you see that that she kind of, how do I put this without going too deep? There's no other way around it. She kind of, let's say, just think of it if it's a fish, but not a fish. In terms of like, in terms of like, if you see like a fish market where when you see the people cut open fish with a knife, it's something like that, or similar to that with Yuri when you do her part. I'm not too sure about Natsuki, because I haven't gone to that part of the game yet. And then you've got Monica, who's like, in terms of the game itself, the most well known, because she's like, oh, it's because she's got like this sort of like cosmic level god power thing, because she can break the fourth wall, and it's subtle. Like, one of the tips she does is, oh, remember to save and stuff like that. And another bit is like, oh, how would that joke work in translation? Because it's a joke about a squid, and in the game, Monica says, oh, how is that going to work when it's being translated into English? And then there's the most famous scene where she's just talking to you, and it's like she's got like her hands like this, like kind of like this, I think. And I think that's the most well-known part of the game, even if people haven't played it but have heard of it maybe. And I kind of knew the game because of that, roughly, and some of the other stuff that happens in the game. But yeah, it's a really weird game. And now I'm going to show you some quick gameplay. So when it comes to the game, there are some things you can look at. So you've got the main game here. You've got side stories, which is basically a sort of a side, as it suggests, a side story to I think before or sometime before the main event of the game. You've got files, which shows you like the different things that happen, like some of the things that are done in the game. So the characters, for example. You've got mail. So I think that just shows you like messages and stuff. Pictures, which shows you like the different things you've collected in the game. That sort of thing. The music, and this is basically just the different types of music you can find in the game, that sort of stuff. But let's go to the main game. So hopefully, if I'm not copyrighted by this, by the music, this music I would say is probably one of the most well known. If you've known about the game. And where did my saves go? My saves are gone. Oh my god. I heard that the saves were gone, but I didn't... It could go, but I didn't know it could be like this. Okay. Okay, so let's just do this. So so this is the whole sort of format of how the game looks like. So as I said before, it is this visual novel type of game, in the sense that everything is like this. You've got a particular character design or a particular character, and they'll just stay still, but they will change costumes. Things. How do I put this? It's hard to explain. It is easy to explain. I would say that character image. Sure, why not? And they will like change like position. One of them works, and they will like. And each character will like have different models. There we go, character models. There we go, and they will show like if they're nervous, they will blush or change, and again change model. And if they show like anger, they'll have an angry character model, that sort of thing. And this is kind of like how the game goes about it, that sort of stuff. And you've got like the different stuff, so like you've got history, auto save, load settings, that sort of thing. And for the skip, if you're going through a particular cutscene again, you can just obviously skip past the cutscene as a whole. But if you're going through a whole new cutscene, you won't be able to skip it unless you rewatch the cutscene again or something like that. As for the main thing, oh man. Okay, so as for the main, like the mini game, there'll probably be an image on screen now, just showing you what kind of things is expected to be in that mini game when you're choosing the different words for the poetry. So yeah, it's basically just different words. I think you can choose up to 20 words, and with each word you choose, one of the 3 character models will jump up, and that shows you, oh okay, that particular character likes a particular word, and because of their personality. So I think it's Sayuri, not Monica, it's Sayuri, Yuri, and Natsuki. So depending on which word you choose, one of them will jump up in the air, because you've chosen a particular word. So yeah, so this is basically how the game works. It's very simple in its design and how it looks, but I think that what makes I think that what draws people in terms of like, oh, it starts off as this sort of um, this sort of game that looks all cutesy, sort of like kind of like how you see in anime, or some particular anime. Like when it comes to like, depending, I think it really depends on which anime you might be watching or stuff like that. Yeah, stuff like that. But I think it just really depends on what people watch and when it comes to anime. I think it's stuff like that. So yeah, but then as you progress, you will learn. You'll see that it's got more of a horrifying element to it. So yeah, so I think that's basically it for the gameplay. Now so I'm going to go back to the review. So as a game as a whole, it's one of those indie games like Cuphead that really blew up in popularity, and I think it's like really interesting to see like how games like this gets blown up in terms of how many people are knowing about it, because you've got you know the AAA games that are really well known, like Mario, The Elder Scrolls, The Legend of Zelda, those kinds of games. Then you've got games like this, like Doki Doki Literature Club, and it's like, and I think I would say I think one of the things that helps it is the events that happen. I would say the horror element of the game, let's say, because it's one of those games that I said before in an early part of the review, that this game has a lot of whiplash when it comes to, I would say, the horror elements, because it's more of like it just happens so fast and so quickly. There's like it takes some time, I would say, for someone to react. Like it happens and be like, what did I just witness? What just happened? What did I see on screen? And it's like, and then it's like, then it continues, and it kind of continues as if nothing has happened. Mainly, for example, after you've witnessed, how do I get around this? Let's say after you've witnessed Sayuri's passing, the game continues as if she has never been in the game itself, because in part of the game, I think in the settings or in the files section, there are these different files you can see, and they all have and part of it, they all have the different files for the different characters. So Sayuri, Yuri, Monica, and Natsuki, and you can have the option to delete those files. And after seeing Sayuri's passing, the game just moves on, and it continues as if she never was in the game. And I think that's another bit of what makes the game have its psychological horror, in terms of, oh my god, did they just written Sayuri literally out of the game? And that's like, what the hell's going on? I think that's, again, that's what makes it, has the psychological horror and the horror part of it as a whole. And yeah, it's a fascinating thing to see, in terms of like, how meta is this game? How far will it go in terms of what horrifying things will it do will it show and stuff like that? It's like, it's really weird, and I think it's, again, that what makes it part of like the horror element to the game. So yeah, it's just a really psychological, horrifying game. So yeah, just yeah. So that's been my review for Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And see you in the next video.